War Eagle, everybody. Welcome back to another edition of E2C Network Live, where we get together and we talk about what's going on in the world of the Auburn family spectrum. We're always heavy on the sports here, but if it's orange and blue, it's what we do. Thank you for joining us, whether you're watching live or on the replay. We'll take you however we can get you, and we appreciate you giving us a few minutes of your time tonight just to hang out with us, talk with us, maybe have slightly more of a or less of a therapy session in this live stream. But tonight on this live stream, the main topic of discussion is our breakdown and grading of the different units of Auburn football versus Penn State. Yes, we're going to talk about it tonight. We're going to get it all out there, and then we're going to put it to bed, and it's going to be done, and we're going to have a good rest of the season. Everybody agree on that? So I guess I should ask, has everybody calmed down now? Has everybody had their therapy? Has everybody just gotten all the tantrums out? I mean, I'll be honest with you. I had a tantrum during the game and stuff like that. But once the game was over, it was like, it can't change it at this point. Why be mad about it? But anyway, so we're going to talk about it, and we'll talk about some of the frustrating things that we can take away going forward and stuff like that. But before we do all that tonight, a couple things that I'll ask of you and give you kind of a heads up of how things are going to go tonight. Make sure you smash that like button if you enjoy this type of content. Help the stream out. Share it out on social media. Tell a friend to come in here and join us. And post right now where you're watching from. City, state, international. If you are international, we get a few of those from time to time. Let us know where you're watching from. A lot of familiar names popping in the chat window right now. This is not going to be a traditional call-in show. The Booster Club members, and we'll talk a little bit more about that later, they have a link where they can choose to call in at any point. So if you are a Booster Club member, take advantage of that. Go over to the app, the site, and you can click on the link there, and it'll bring you up here, and then you can stay as long as you want. If you have the exclusive link tonight, we're not worried about too many people running into each other. You could stay all night. Well, not all night, because I'm not going to be here all night. But anyway, that's how things are going to go tonight, and we appreciate you guys joining us. We got Jaden in the house, Big Simp, Thomas from Leeds calling in. Of course, Corey's very familiar, has been here for a while, part of this channel. Big Simp says, great game. I think that cannot be understated or overstated enough, that I think we as Auburn fans need to understand that we were part of a great football game. Was it the result that we wanted? Heck no. But it was a great game. It was worthy of all the hype and the prime time exposure, and Auburn didn't have the best showing that they could have had. But for being our return, I guess, in some ways, to the big stage, you couldn't have asked for a better game and environment to take all that in with. So I think that's a great way to kind of frame the discussion. And we will be... we're talking about the LSU game. We're going to probably leave most of that discussion for the next live stream on Wednesday night when we get here for the game preview. So we'll probably cover most of that then. We got Pensacola, Florida checking in. I'm still talking to Dr. Phil about the game. I think we all are to some degree, aren't we? I mean, it's fair to say that we need to our therapy session, though, guys, was Saturday night. And if you thought that was a late therapy session, I will say this about the LSU game. How about late? How late is our therapy session going to be on that game 2 weeks from now? But we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. All right. So those of you that have been here before, you kind of know, we like to be a little bit loose and free with this. I plan to go through the different units here and talk about maybe some takeaways that I had. I want to hear some of yours, and then we're going to give them a grade. Everybody can share, and then we'll try to kind of come to a consensus on what the grade probably should be, even if it's not what I necessarily wanted to, we can find an average somewhere in there. How about this? Who was your player of the game for Auburn? Who had the best overall game? Excuse me, I've got a hair there. If you had to tell me right now who is the best player of the game for Auburn, let me know right now in the chat window. Facebook was going in on Derek Mason. I'm not surprised. Listen, social media, and it's to this right here to some degree. People say what they want to say, and because they don't think there's any consequences to it. And it's pretty sad how some people behave sometimes. You can have constructive criticism, but one game, if you're freaking out about one game, kind of shows you need to check some things. You can be upset about the game. I was upset about the game, but do you see me freaking out? Nope. We played better as a team in that game than any big game last year. I'm not mad at all. The loss hurts, but didn't give up. Yeah, I think that's a good way to say it. We showed a lot of drive to not let the bad situations that were mounting, refs and otherwise, in the second half against us to really drag us down. We kept fighting for a chance to be able to win that game, and we gave ourselves opportunities to win that game. And think about it this way, Bo made a great throw there right before the last one to put us into position where we potentially could at least have a reasonable shot at some type of game-winning play. It was very low percentage, but we had a shot at it. Big Simp says, the fumble after halftime trying to be pretty took the momentum away. We still fought, though. If we are in the red zone, our running game is on fire. Please run the ball. You have to balance that. Coach Harsin even said that in his press conference today. By the way, I'll be doing a video release probably tomorrow morning, breaking down my thoughts of what he said. And I think there's some good things so far that I haven't finished watching it all the way through, but some of the things that he said so far, I really liked way he's approaching some of the criticisms and critiques that are out there. I've also found one section where I disagreed with him a little bit, but who am I? He don't care who I am. Now I will say everyone's criticism about the play at the halftime, to me, we're going a little far with it. Okay. I think there's a lot of people out there that have this conniption if we do anything that resembles Gus Malzahn and what he wanted to do. And I think that play screams Gus Malzahn to a certain group of people. I think there is a point where you get too pretty and too fancy and all that kind of stuff. But did you forget that most teams typically try something crazy to start off the half, especially if you're wanting to take the crowd out of it? It backfired and we put the crowd into it, but it was worth the shot because while the wideout really wasn't making a humongous difference for Penn State, it made a difference. And I don't, in hindsight, necessarily fault the choice to try the trick play. I fault the execution of the trick play, which is really what it all amounts to. Tank was your player of the game. John Samuel Shanker. I think, honestly, he probably should get it because we don't have a decent passing game without him at the helm. Larry's in the house. Good to see you, Larry. Let's see here. Tank, yes, was a good one. Joe, channel member, Booster Club member. Thank you, sir. John was blocking well and he caught some big passes. I think even Coach Harsin said today in his press conference how well, not just he, but the rest of the tight ends did at blocking. And I think that was a really good thing for him to point out because I think tight ends have always done a good job blocking for us, especially under Coach Malzahn, but they didn't really get the praise they probably deserved as much. Let's see. All right. Dusty says, entire O-line is my player of the game. Now, I'm going to disagree with you a little bit on that. Where I think the O-line showed continued improvement was the run game, even against a decent pass rush, or excuse me, rush defense for Penn State. I will not say that they were much improved simply because of their pass blocking and ability to create more time for Bo. So have they improved? Yes. And they showed that in this game, but they're still lacking in some areas a little bit. I'm not too concerned about Mason, but give it some time. It's one game. Let's not make big overarching statements. We're 100th in pass defense because we've had 3 games of data to put that into that statistic. Let's see what happens. We have 6, 7, 8. See what it looks like. Zachaby, yes. Zachaby would be a good choice for that. And also, and on the same token, where I'm not saying let's not make big statements about the play, I don't think Bo balled out either. I think he did well, considering the circumstances, but I don't think he did as good as he could have. I think Bo did about as much as he could have with what he was given to work with, but he didn't exceed expectations. I can be fair. We really shouldn't blame the loss on anyone. It's a learning season with new coaches, new philosophies, and things like this happens to every person. Perfect. I couldn't have said it better myself. I mean, if you are overreacting to this game, you really need to take a step back for a minute. John Stokes in the house. What's going on? Channel member and Booster Club member. Thank you, sir, for your support as always. All right, let's do this. Let's go ahead and walk through some of the units. Since we were talking about Bo for a second, let's everybody get your grade in right now. Tell me your grade for Bo. A, B, C, D, F. And let's not get into these stupid Fs, okay? Bo didn't have an F game. You really have to suck it up to have an F game. Let's be serious about this. Just because you hate Bo doesn't mean you can give him an F. But let's really think about this and talk about it. So I'll give you some stats maybe to look at here. Bo was 21 for 37 from the field with 185 yards. So probably needed a few more yards from him and a few more completions from him. However, I don't know that Bo should be throwing 37 times in the game. I don't know that we're going to be successful doing that. Could be wrong. His QBR was 70.1, and it said the team had 2 pass attempts. What was that? I don't even remember what that was. Compared, just for comparison's sake, Clifford was 28 for 32, 280 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. And he had an 88% QBR on that. And then Dotson had that weird little play there. All right, let's see what everybody else is saying here about grades. I would give Bo a C. Larry says B+. Anybody else want to get their grade in on that? Jaden says, I feel like if Auburn won, people would have said we cheated. Well, they're saying that anyway. They were going to say that at that point. I'm just shutting down all the Penn State fans at this point and just saying, listen, if you're complaining about the rest, you got it the same way. So just ignore them at that point. If most reasonable Penn State fans, especially ones that have visited this channel, have admitted to that. A whole new attitude with the team? In what way? Disappointed with the defense, little pass rush. Yeah, it's the common theme right now. We got C+ coming in from Joe, C- for Dusty, B for Nix. I'll give Bo a C. Got roughed up a bit. He played a little bit better than he did against Oregon. Poor old line never helped any quarterback. Listen, again, it cannot be overstated here. The offensive line improved again in some areas, but still is lacking in some crucial areas where we really need them to. We never really, well, I shouldn't say that. We needed them to improve in pass blocking always more than rush simply because of Tank. Tank's going to get his yards. He could get more if they give him more room. But, really need them to do pass blocking. So it looks like we've got nobody doing less than a C-. I think we got a B+. Let's say a B-. I think that's fair for passing for the quarterback position. I think that's a fair assessment. Bo did just below average. Well, I guess B- would technically still be above average, but it still feels less than below average. You know what I'm saying? Rushing. How would you grade the rushing? The running backs, the whatever, scat backs, Bo running. I'll give you some figures here in just a second. Drop your grade right now. We'll read some of those off. Even though the outcome of the last 2 drives, I was actually pleased to see that they're able to drive down the field both times in very harsh conditions, like obviously with the noise and the intensity of the game and the bigness of that moment. Bigness, is that a word? Of that moment. It was very impressive. Yeah, we can laugh at Bama anytime. I'll allow it. Bama's got some holes to fill, man, and they they might be a little bit susceptible this year. This one game, though, don't overreact to our game. Don't overreact to their game. But it's nice to see a little bit of Alabama deficiencies every once in a while. Tank and Hunter, A+, B+. We need to give Jarquez a nickname, but any ideas? I don't know that you should force that. If you got some suggestions, put them out there. But I think you kind of got to earn that. And I'm not saying he hasn't earned the right to have a nickname, but he hasn't like earned the nickname yet. Does that make sense? A, rushing attack was an A. Good distribution against the defensive front and game plan. Okay, let's look at this real quick. Tank, 23 carries, 102 yards, 2 touchdowns. Should have had a third. A long of 18. So he never broke one loose, which I was really planning on him doing. And we really, really could have used that. I think we put this one up already. A+. Jarquez had 9 for 63. He had the longest run with his hurdle. That was pretty awesome. Kobe had a run, which wasn't a run. And then Bo ran 6 times for 29 yards. Again, Bo shows that he is the best option for us simply because of what he provides as a well-rounded quarterback. Does that mean he's perfect? No, he's not. But he's the best option. After that hurdle, I think he earned one. Well, let him throw one down for us. I want to know. Running backs A+, B+. Lightning. See, Lightning's so overused, though, Corey. In fact, the first time I ever used it was Ontario McCaleb. No, wait. Yes, Ontario McCaleb and Ben Tate, Thunder and Lightning. And literally, I made the call last week, the game before the big West Virginia rain game. And I said, look out, West Virginia, we're running into a perfect storm of lightning and thunder. And sure enough, here it comes, literally. If Shivers comes back, will he steamroll the rest of our schedule? Georgia is my only concern. Should be concerned about Alabama. Should be concerned about Texas A&M. You should be concerned about LSU. You can be differing levels of concern about them, but those are 4 big games left that you should be concerned about and need. Not you, Big Simp, but there's a lot of people, and I'm not seeing those. I'm thinking of some certain people. I'm not seeing them tonight because I don't think that they were too happy with how honest I was about some of their reactions to the game. You need to prepare yourself for more losses. Doesn't mean they're going to happen. Doesn't mean they should happen. But you need to prepare yourself for it. This is a growing, learning year. I think it was Unbeaten Lake who said that earlier. All right, let's do offensive line. Your overall assessment of it. Let me come back to Dusty's comment. I think this fits more here. We didn't allow a sack. We ran the ball. Sure, the O-line could be better, but Friend has them light years better than last year. I disagree with that, Dusty. They're definitely not light years ahead. Are they better? Yes. You can't take if this game proved anything, you cannot take those first 2 games and say that's absolute what Auburn is. This game proved it. I've been saying it for a long time. This was a measuring stick for Auburn. But given that, we didn't allow a sack. Running game was pretty good. Pass blocking, lacking. Where would you grade the offensive line? We got a B. You think with all 3 backs we'll run more? You think you disagree with me on A&M? The only reason I'm putting them out there is because it's an away game, and simply because of Auburn's track record right now with away games. So from that alone, you have to respect it. I think we can get on the same page with that kind of thinking. A C. That's probably I'm leaning that direction. Probably is where I'm kind of leaning on. I don't know if I said my running back's grade, it would be an A. I think it could have been better. An A is fine. C+. That's Larry. I think I like C+ for a grade for the offensive line. Personally, I don't know if everybody agrees with me. And I think also you need to throw in the tight end blocking because we're not going to grade tight ends separately because that's just such a unique position and they do basically everything except throw the ball. Well, unless you want them to. So I think that helps it as well. Kind of thinking about it. O-line gets a B. Awful last year. In fact, they did anywhere as well as they did. Due to improvement, even on a small scale. Yep. And the track record of A&M. No, that's fair point. It's fair point, but neither is Auburn's away game. All right, so I will settle on personally, and I think everybody can agree with this, a C+. C+. Wide receivers include John Samuel Shanker and his performance. Give me your grade right now. Let's go through some of the plays for you, or the results for you, and let you see what you think. Kobe Hudson, 4 catches, 66 yards. The best receiver of the night. John Samuel Shanker right behind him with 5, 62 yards. Demetrius Robinson with a stealthy 5 catches for 23 yards, but they were all like no gain, basically, most of them. His longest was a 16. Malcolm Johnson had a 14-yard catch. Jarquez had 2. Shed Jackson had 2 for 6 yards. Javaris Johnson was quiet with 1. And then Tank had 1 as well. How would you grade the wide receivers and how they did overall? I think I don't know that you should count the fumble on this particular grade because that was a running play. And I think that was such a weird thing that, think about it that way. So tight ends are wide receivers. In certain sets, they are. That's what they do. They're not, but for all intents and purposes, they are here. Wide receivers D-. Somebody has to step up. Agreed, Dusty. 100% agree with you there. We have to have someone be the guy. I thought it was going to be Demetrius Robinson, and I criticized him a lot in our fan reaction live stream on the night of. If you haven't go watch that, go do it. It was a good therapy session, I think. And we talked to a lot of people on the phone too. He stepped up in catches, but just not the moments that we needed him to. C- for John. Joe says C-. Tight end. What? Tight ends an A, wide receivers a B. So you probably fall into the category of like A-, B+, somewhere in that range. C-. Matt, I think you're being a little harsh, but we'll take it into consideration with the F. 8 drops. That is warranting of talking about that. It's not worthy of an F though. An F would be they were literally non-existent, and they still were able to make some plays. D+. Route running has to improve. It needs time to develop. A Z-. Wow. C. Yeah. Okay. Let's see. I think we've got most of the grades in here now. All right. By the way, too, before I reveal my grade, if you haven't, please do make sure you smash that like button. A lot of you are just now getting in here. Let people know that we're going live here. And I'll go ahead and take this time to do this now. If you haven't, please do check out some of the links in the description, ways that you can help support the content here. You can become a channel member. $1 is all it takes. Hit the join button. Check out the link. I think it's in the chat window, but it's in the description as well. Or you can become a Booster Club member. Booster Club members tonight exclusively have access to the call line. Nobody's taking advantage of it. They don't have to, but it's there for them if they want it. And they can only call. And they could stay the whole call with me if they wanted to. I'd love that, actually. I like talking to you guys by myself, but it's always more fun when I have some people hanging out with me. But that's some of the perks you get with that. Check out some of the links in the description. So my grade for wide receivers would probably be like, I feel like D+ is too harsh, but part of me doesn't feel like that. Does that make sense? Like, I don't feel like a D+. I think that's too harsh, but I also think a C- is not worthy. Their performance wasn't worthy of that. So I'm kind of like a C-, if that's a thing. It's my show. I can do it, I guess. C-. You were busy raging Saturday night. I watched you all summer, but been offline for a couple months. I get you. Oh, I appreciate that, Dusty. Glad to have you back in the fold here. Bo needs to work definitely on his receiver timing. So how does he work on his receiver timing? Are you talking about his throw motion, like his fluidity with the wide receivers? To me, that's not well, I guess it is technically a timing thing, but timing takes time. You're a nice guy. It's a D. I'm not trying to like, split hairs here. It really, D plus feels too harsh, but C minus is not good enough. So like, it's like a D plus plus or a C minus minus, or if there was a CD answer. I don't know. All right. We've done offense. I think, how about this? I actually do need to kind of quick this up here. If you had to grade the offense as a whole on the night, give me your grade. Take your A's for your running game, your low B's for quarterback, your C's for offensive line, and your D's and C's for wide receivers. What is your overall grade for the offense? What say you? It'll be interesting to get to this defense here in a second. Need a search warrant for Capers and Canyon. Yeah, they've if you go back and watch my prediction video that I did for top wide receivers for Auburn this season, Capers and Canyon were number 1 and 2. I gave in to the hype with everybody else, and look how wrong I was. All right, we got grades coming in: B plus, C overall, C plus. The game plan also, sure, if that's what you kind of want to encompass in that, but we're really talking about results on the field, not necessarily the game plan. But because if they had won, it would have been a brilliant game plan. C minus, at least 30 in these big games. And I keep plugging videos here, and I'm promise I'm not doing that on purpose, but it just kind of happens to come up. I did my video about the history of the big, the whiteout game. And if you listen to what I said in that, if you haven't, go back and watch it, where Penn State scores like 27 or more, they always win. They score 28. Where opponents, scored 30 or more, they tend to lose. The other team tends. Actually, it was the reverse. Go watch it. I can't remember exactly all the stats on it. I will say that overall, probably a flat C. Bo's improvement, the offensive rushing blocking, and rushing in general kind of keep it afloat. B plus is a little too high for me, but hey, that's your grade. All right. Defense. Let's do the first one. Not overall. We'll get to that one. Give me your grade of the defensive line. Can't wait for this one. Wide receivers might be like, whew, at this point. Obviously, the big, shocking disappointment of the game. And I think, I should say, let's take a well-rounded approach here on this. Rushing-wise, great job for them. And, that includes other areas too, but, they really kind of start the push there. 45 yards for Kane, their best running back. That's it. 1 touchdown. And that was like at the 1 yard line when you're supposed to, run it. Yes, that was a thinly veiled joke at our decision not to do so. Let's see. We got them to fumble 1 time. That was off the defensive tackles, I think. And we recover. Oh, no, we didn't recover 1. I'm looking for sacks and stuff like this. I think we sacked 1 time. Excuse me. I'm just trying to make this thing work. It says we sacked 1 time, but I'm not seeing who. Maybe it was just a team sack. But overall, by far, and we'll get to defensive backs here in a second. Hold on the defensive back grades. We're talking about defensive line right now. H, D, B, varying here a lot. C minus, no pass rush against the run. Stout against the run, but fault Mason for the lack of pass rush. I don't know that you can definitively say that. It's just 1 game. Let's work for a body of work, because we were praising the pass rush 2 games ago. Remember that? Let's take a minute and a step back for a second. H for horrible. Let's see. D, only reason it's not a rep because the scheme was ridiculous. They can't get pressure when only rushing 3. Let me remind you guys of something. Alabama is consistently one of the best pass rushers in any case. Pass, run. They typically, at least a lot of the time, and I don't know where they are now, have run a 3-4. I hate 3. I hate 3 down linemen, but they make it successful. So you can't say it's simply because only rushing 3. Now they're sending people and stuff like that. Yes. But I can't tell you how many times their 3 big old boys have wrecked a muck with us. Now that's granted because of our offensive line, but anyway, D, well, we're not doing overall yet. C minus. And why do we start 4 defensive ends, front 2 small? Fair and Burks are causing havoc. I don't think that you can fault the defensive tackles a lot in this because they did such a great job. The edge pressure is really where it didn't make a difference, and we really needed it to. When we rushed only 3, I had to fight not to vomit. 3 is fine if you can pull off a blitz and they're just that good. It's all about the nose tackle. So yes, nose tackles, our defensive tackles that we utilized did great job. Edge rushers, no. So for me, I'll say it's probably going to be a D. I don't feel bad giving a D plus on this one because it's not like they didn't do anything, but it was not good. I think the pass rush was so atrocious that you kind of have to give them an almost failing grade here. Failing would mean nothing got stopped, and some things did get stopped, but yeah. All right, linebackers kind of got lost in the discussion points, and I think there's some good things about that. Like it means they were probably doing what they could, but I think there are some deficiency areas that people are ignoring about the linebackers in this one. I went back and looked back at Mason's defense. Give me your grade for linebackers. Looked at Mason's defense at Stanford. In his first year, they did okay, but not great. In his next season, they had one of the best defenses in the nation. I unbeaten, like you're just like on level with me tonight. I cannot stress this enough, guys. It's one game. Things will get better. I promise you. And I'm not yelling at probably anybody here tonight because most of y'all are being, if not all of y'all, are being reasonable and just having fun with this thing. But it will get better. If you're panicking over one game, you really got to check yourself before you wreck yourself. Okay, that was bad. All right, I admit it. Linebackers, please give me your grades now. I'm pulling up some. Chandler Wooten, linebacker of the game, with Zachaby kind of being taken out. And he was only taken out at the very end, but you would think that he would have had more tackles. Chandler had 10. 6 solo tackle for loss a couple times. Popo 5 total tackles. You can make an argument whether Derek Hall or TD Moultrie should be considered versatile linebackers, but Now I want you guys to remember this. You remember all those passes over the top, not the deep ones, but just over the top of the defense for linebackers. This is just my assessment and my theory on it. That didn't happen until later when we tried to send more help because we weren't getting enough push on the pass rush. That was on the linebackers a lot of the time. So that's the one area that I can look back to and say linebackers should have been better here. But I don't think you can find many other big issues, in my opinion. But I think they could work on their pass coverage. We got B, C. Better grade up the pass defense was good. Yep, I agree. B minus, tight end slipping through, and no McClain most of the fourth. Was it most of the fourth, or was it just? I thought it was for like 5 minutes. I really think it was. Linebackers getting A. They played great. I don't know about great. Good enough would probably be good for me. B plus. What's up, Linda? How are you doing? She is a Booster Club member. Thank you so much for you. By the way, Linda, I'll give you. I'll just me and you here for a second. Whenever you're ready to do your Auburn Roots story, we can do it because you're due for it. You said that you were interested. May or may not have an opening for the next one. Just throwing it out there. Popo was out. Yeah. So is anybody privy to what's going on with him? Because I heard rumors about an injury, and I couldn't get any information, solid information. I don't like to run with rumors unless I have solid information. I'm just curious if anybody else that thinks about it. Justin Thomas, it was 10 minutes that Zachabim was out. Okay. So how about this? Let's just say A minus. Some things that they could have improved, but they were probably the best part of the defense. Rolled ankle. There it is. If you blitz the linebackers, you have to get enough pressure to affect or turn the play. New defense takes time to develop. Fair assessment all the way around. All right. Here's the fun part everybody's probably been waiting for. I thought defensive line would be the fun part for you guys. How about those defensive backs? Be nice. Be honest, but be nice. It's probably close to an F, but it's not. What say you? Give me your defensive back grades. I'll give you a couple of stats to work with. Go back to this. Clifford was 23 for 32, 280 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. My boy Roger McQuarrie, Mr. Future First Rounder. It's a pretty easy one to get, but hey, you got to give it to him. Dotson for Penn State killed us all night. Literally, if we couldn't have taken away Dotson, this is a much different game for them. Now, Strange had 71 yards on 4 catches, Washington at 49. But I really think if Dotson is not that big of an issue, if we could have taken him away, you're not seeing some of the production from the other ones. It was just bad. So the interception. Oh, and I'm losing perfect timing, though, because we kind of got to the stats that we need. My little computer screen over here is powering down. Let's see what your grades are. C minus, F. I mean, I will fight you less on the F on this area because it was not great, but I don't think it's deserving of an F. What defensive backs? Because they had to sit out for so long. Smoke Monday, an F. So what is everyone's criticism with Smoke? I've seen a lot of people, because I can recall a couple of plays where he made a difference. I don't know that you can really put it all on one person. I think this is a holistic problem that got exposed. Matt, I don't know that being on the field makes that much of a difference. In fact, isn't there a rule where you can't have both on the field or something like that? Or I may be just making that up. You can't have both the offensive and defensive. And I think maybe Bobo's up there too. I can't remember. Those are things that, frankly, just don't matter, in my opinion. Popo had a leg injury. I thought that's what it was. I didn't think it was going to be that bad. Busted plays. Incomplete. It's not a bad assessment. Incomplete. It's like they turned in their paper, but they didn't even do the assignment, right? So it's kind of like you tried. Maybe you made some like sniffs at what you were supposed to do. Ken says, should have played man-to-man. I disagree with that. I disagree with the assessment that we just should have played man-to-man. Maybe that's not what you meant, but you got to think this through. You kind of have to do both. I think they made a conscious effort, clearly, to play zone, and it backfired on them. And switching back to that probably didn't create the results that they were wanting. And so they were kind of stuck in this no man land of trying to adjust, and never could get it adjusted just right. Not trying to make excuses, just trying to give you my assessment of it. Smoke is a much better run stopper. Now, he is great at run stopping and just coming up and laying the smoke on somebody. But I do think there are some areas he can improve. And I think his deep ball pass coverage could be one of them. Roger's pretty good at that. But, safe. I shouldn't say that. But anyway. Smoke did a pretty good job. I thought he did a fine job. He didn't do enough, I think, to really say that I think he did a great job. But blown coverages by the tight ends on the tight ends were not just DBs, but the linebackers. That's kind of what we were saying. Russell, by the way, did you just get here, Russell? You did. Welcome. I can't remember if I saw you earlier on here. L for yes, Clifford. Hey, McCreary is no man's land. Don't come over there to Roger McCreary. They knew that. They were picking on all the other areas. But anyway, Smoke was too aggressive, running up too quick. But can you blame him with us not getting any pass rush? He was like, nobody else is going to do it. I'm going to do it. Here's where I'll just say probably it's a D. It's a D, not even a D plus. It's a D. It's bad. It was really bad. That's what I mean. You can point to several different areas in the game what lost us, and this is definitely one of them. But it's not just a one thing did it or one thing didn't do it. So overall, this is now your time. Overall grades of the defense for Auburn versus Penn State. Full grade for the defense. Give it to me now. I think we said C for offense. Who got that pass interference when we were deep? I think it wasn't it McCreary, and it was kind of bogus too. I tried to stay off the refs tonight, but you're gonna make me do it. If that was pass interference, so was the other thing. Now I get it. I get that. Kobe kind of created the contact and stuff like that, but he was brought down by the defender. That was pass interference all the way. F minus. It's not an F because that means they didn't do anything and they kept us within. But C, C minus, C plus. It wasn't McCray. Oh, it was Pritchett. Thank you. I give the safeties and corners an F. Well, that's what we were just talking about, Corey. But we're asking for the holistic defense. To be fair, we had a safety before the passing, and that was never reviewed. And that is true. And this is why I've stressed to the Penn State fans. You notice they're not here anymore. I'm convinced there was this one guy on the channel all last week, and he just would come to every video and just post ridiculous stuff. I am convinced he subscribed and then unsubscribed as soon as he got his last comment. Because I saw him come through. I didn't even address him because he was so ridiculous. But you literally saw him come through and do some ridiculous statement after the game, and then my subscriber count went down like 1. I was like, that was him. How lame are you? And how bored and ridiculous are you that you have to? Anyway, I'm sorry. That's just neither here nor there. Overall C, we got a D. I don't think I've gotten everybody yet. C, D minus, C minus. I think we've been grading them the entire time. I mean, this is it's a reflection on execution, but also game planning. We only gave up 28 with the turnover that helped them score, but it looked ugly at times. If you look back at this game, Coach Harsin stresses winning the turnover battle. Most coaches do, but he has really stressed that. I think it was even. What? An interception and a fumble. In both of those plays, if it goes the other way, well, not necessarily. I was about to say it would have been good for them if it goes the other way, but us getting the interception was good for us. Working but listening, enjoying War Eagle from C plus to B minus overall dramatic. So how about this? Final grade time. Take offense, defense, game plan, coaches, everything. Grade the team's performance overall. If you kind of when we all talked through it together, we came to an average of about a C on offense. It sounds like with basically a D on defensive line, maybe C, I think is more where we were, with the B for B plus, almost A, and then the low D's for that. It's really like a C minus, maybe almost a D for the defense. But throw game plan in there. You know, I know that the idea probably is to give this a D, but you really have to look at the whole thing in context. Auburn football played on the road in one of the best spectacles in college football against a pretty decent team, not a great team, but a pretty decent team from what I can tell, on the road, and kept it within a touchdown score, and it's not like they did it the last second. They had several opportunities to win the game and put themselves in a position to win the game. So remember that when you're grading. I think when you take all that together, could it have been 10 times better? Oh, wow, yes. But really look at the context of the situation, not just the emotion. I think we have 2 turnovers in the season, 3 at most. Defense has 2. We have way more than that, I'm pretty sure, because I think we had 3 in the first game, 2 in the second game, and now 1 here. If you're talking about us getting the turnovers or causing the, or I not know which way you're going on that. C minus, I think C. I think it's fair to say a C minus on this one. I think it is. And that's probably where I'll lean. B, we were in a hostile environment, but we fought, loving the team's energy. Overall grade's a D. Not a moral victory guy. You change culture by winning these kind of games. It's fair. Doesn't mean you still don't lose them, though. I did ask him, I think that like in a comment, but not really. Guys like that, they're just wanting you to react. That's why you just don't really bother him. I gave him like 2 interactions when he was here live, and I was like, you're not worth having a discussion with. B overall, at least this game prepared us for LSU. That might be a great way to look at it overall. So those are all our grades. Obviously, the ref situation was frustrating, but I think we can all agree, even the reasonable Penn State fans, that it evened out, although it seemed to kind of hurt us more, especially there at the end of the game. Not a great performance overall, but the team was still in a chance to win. I think if you take a step back after the emotions of the loss, you realize not only do we know where the team kind of stands at in some areas, what was real and what wasn't real after the first 2 games. You're now going to go into the Georgia State game with a much more honest opinion about what you see out of that game. And then we'll have a new benchmark with LSU on the road really late in Death Valley. It'll be pretty interesting, I think, what we'll find out from that. Turn down the sunshine, John says. We should have outplayed them. We have more talent. Talent doesn't necessarily mean that you're the better team. And, I've tried to really kind of be fair about that because a lot of people are mad with the game plan, but I think some of that probably falls on the coaches a little bit more this time. I do think that you should have a little bit of a sunshine outlook on this person. And that's just me, because this is just game 3. If this is game 8 and this happened, we got a real problem. This is game 3. That's just where I stand on it. Why is the LSU game at 8? Reasons. They needed a game to put there, and I guess it made the most sense. It's really 9 Eastern time. Now, Russell, I will caution you. A lot of people have been almost predicting that was going to happen this season. Don't get caught in that trap of expecting that, though. It could be. It could be the LSU of 2030. It very well could be. But please don't do that to yourself and to others, because I don't think they can take it. But I'm not trying to disparage your point. I think we, because I'm included in this, we all need to take a step back and realize where the team is at this moment. And let's take Georgia State, work on what we need to work on, and let's reassess after LSU. If we're not seeing improvements in some of those crucial areas, because LSU doesn't look that good this year, but they're not going to be a pushover. So we'll have a new benchmark to work from there, especially because of the environment. Matt says Bo threw the ball for a PI call and didn't get it. Well, yes, he did, and that was one of his choices according to the coaches on that one. And they said they planned for it, and that's what they wanted him to do. And you can like it or not like it. A lot of teams do that in that situation. It works. I hated it. I would have run the ball, but I'm not paid the big bucks to make those decisions and then deal with those consequences they are. So if it had worked, it would have been a genius call with four new downs for Tank to run that thing in there. I would much rather have a big game on the first week to see where the team stands in performance. I think that Corey can be a little dangerous though, because then you're like, if they have the big win like Oregon, everybody's like, oh my gosh, Bo Nix, the savior. And then we had some issues. They're fun. And trust me, I get hyped up so much for those type of games, but I almost prefer this when I take a step back and look, because we got a chance to get the team figured out a little bit, see what we think is going to happen, and then really reassess it at this point. I really, truly think this is going to be a good thing in the long run. Just because they're 5 stars doesn't mean that they're that good. Now, they look good. We'll see what happens later down the road, though. Outside of the wide receivers, we're better at every position. Quarterback's a toss-up. They're pretty even, I think, at quarterback. Wide receivers, they would definitely win. I mean, they're defensive backs. Clearly, they would win there. Anyway, so that's the Penn State game, guys. I feel for Shankers, Shanker. He was trying hard to score. Yes, I was hoping he was going to get one because he deserved it in that game. John Samuel Shanker, you are the man. He's probably, now that we've talked through it, my player of the game, and he should be. And I should have put him as the image for this thumbnail. Anyway, all right, get your last minute comments, questions, derogatory rebuttal in right now. Get those in. A couple reminders for you. Wednesday night, live, we are going to preview the Georgia State game, so be here. Tomorrow, video out, breaking down the press conference with Bryan Harsin, and then we'll have several podcasts that'll be put up on the YouTube channel for this week. Equestrian tomorrow, cross country is coming up, another football one, and an extra one as well. We're going to be doing fun facts about Shug Jordan with Clint Richardson. Don't miss that. You can listen to them here / watch them here, or you can download the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, anywhere you can find it. If you'd like to help support the content we do here, please do consider hit the like button. That's the easiest thing you can do. It's the cheap thing too. You can also sign up to be a channel member for $1. Hit that join button, link in the top of the chat window or in the description. You can also take it a step further for $1 as well and become a Booster Club member, like so many of our awesome people here, like John. I think Joe was here. Linda was here. All of you great guys and gals. And you can get different levels and perks there that I think will be interesting to you. So check all that out in the description, and there's other ways to help support there as well. Thank you guys so much for your kind words. Are they ranked? Georgia State? No. No. We're ranked though. I may be looking too far ahead, but I think we're upset Georgia. We'll get there. Let's settle down. Let's worry about Georgia State. Let's worry about this Georgia. Let's get through LSU, see where we're at, and then we'll really know what we're going to do against Georgia. I'm excited for that game. Enjoy the week as well. We're going to have a good week. Oh, a couple other reminders too. I'll say this on the Wednesday show, but we'll have lots of content from campus this week, so make sure you're paying attention to that. But there you go. Oh, we didn't even grade special teams. A, can everybody agree? A, last thing, real quick, as you head out here, grade the special teams. I think it's an A. He knocked through two field goals, crucial ones, all his extra points. I think the punter did well as well. I don't have my stat sheet pulled up. I think they get an A. And special teams has been a nice shining light this week, if not all season. You guys have been great as always. Thank you for sharing your grades on the way out. And I'll remember to put that in there more fluidly in the show next time. Thank you guys for being here. War Eagle. It's going to be still a good season. Still hope to see you on Wednesday night.